Trustee Miller.
Present.
And Treasurer Terry.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We can all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please? So moved. It's been moved by VP Bowman, supported by Trustee Dooley to approve the agenda. Any questions? Roll call.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Dooley.
Yes.
Trustee Grove.
Yes.
President Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Treasurer Terry.
Yes.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
That passes 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner of Elected Officials, good evening again, trustees, good to see you.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Yes, good weekend. Vicky, do we have any communications, petitions, or delegations? All right. Discussion item? Special. Oh, I'm sorry, special meeting, Dr. Leverett. The meeting is now yours.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Good evening. Good
This
evening.
evening, we want to talk to you about Pontiac Reimagined Phase 1. This is a draft for discussion only, but the children that we serve here in Pontiac deserve greater learning opportunities. And so this proposal tonight is going to talk to you about just that. Please listen to this phase 1 because we really are seeking to bring this to the board for a vote and full support on April 28th. So remember, initially we had a huge plan that was very comprehensive, that had a lot of moving pieces, and then we went back to say, what could a 5-year plan potentially look like, and what could phase 1 look like? And so that's what we want to bring before you this evening. If we focus on our students and getting greater outcomes for them as it relates to their academics, as it relates to their social emotional well-being, as it relates to their attendance, and creating safe spaces for our students, it is a win-win for everyone, including our teachers. So this plan is about what can we provide for the whole child. You've heard months and months about concern about our kids can't read. But they most certainly have the capacity to read, write, comprehend at very high levels and to compete at very high levels. So none of us in this room buy into the message that this is just the status quo for Pontiac School District. It is absolutely not. And I keep saying it, and I will continue to say it because I take it very personal. I will never subscribe to that you just them over there in Pontiac. So please listen to the plan, keep an open mind, and know and believe that the rigor and the academic outcomes that we want for all kids, it is absolutely possible. And we are the ones in this room that are charged with just doing that. And so I am very excited. This is an opportunity again for us to look at a plan. Is it perfect? Not necessarily, but show me a perfect plan and we'll subscribe to that as well. But what it is a real thought and intention that went into this in terms of what is good for children. So again, I want to thank my team for just coming and putting our heads together about what can we reimagine in terms of the future of Pontiac School District. So again, we're going to talk about the ITA program and IOA. We're going to give you an overview of PEACE, and we're going to talk about some of our facilities, like the FAIL Center, relocating the FAIL Center. What could potentially the PEACE look like if that program is now at WHRC? And a number of different things in terms of what the transportation requirements would be for our students, what a school code would mean for us as a district. And it does, it's change is not easy, but we go through it every day. The clock is ticking, and so this is an opportunity for us to embrace it. Maybe there are some components that you're like, oh, I'm not sure about that, but embrace it and come alongside us together, because I guarantee you, as a team, we are going to be better if we say, you know what, let's move forward with phase 1. So again, I'm excited. Change, some people like change, most people are like, okay, I'm comfortable in my zone and the way we've been doing it. But the way we have been doing it, it's not working. It's not working. And so when we think about the safety of our staff and students that are at the current location, that was one of the biggest reasons that we said, you know what, we have to do something. So we know we have a great security team, but again, for our littlest learners that are gonna come through our district, we really, really had to have some tough conversations and say, you know what, we must do something different, okay?
Excuse me, Dr. Johnson. I'm sorry, Dr. LeBret. I looked at Dougson Carter. Who was at the table when I would like to know, you said team, but I'd like names.
The cabinet.
The entire cabinet was present.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No extras. Anyone extra that was in the decision-making process? Any other persons involved?
Dr. Witherspoon. Heidi was in my cabinet, Tanya, Diane, Marv, Jeff,
So
Ashley.
everyone was present?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
that's all I need.
Okay.
Also, one quick question as well. Where was the principal and staff of the building also involved in this potential move?
That was a good one.
And how are they thinking? And I know we had a united front of about maybe 5 that came to the board, but that's only about 5 or 6 that came. And is that because I'm just saying, we talked, right?
Yes.
Yeah, discussion.
Yep.
This discussion, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse my language. I don't want that same shit we had 4 weeks ago when we had a rowdy group out here because we weren't even considering. It was just planning and on Facebook Live and all this other crap. So now, as it pertains to these moves with peace, which the principal came in and said they were fine with it, is everybody in that building aware, aboard, agree?
We didn't get 100% on that.
But Dr. Deverson, can you provide some commentary as it relates to Trustee Rose's question, the meetings that we've had with Matt, Nicole, which you all will hear from this evening as it relates to the peace plan, as well as Dr. Jarman from ITA, and the walkthroughs that we've had.
I'm sorry, can I jump into before Dr. Davison knows, Dr. Leverett, if you
Yes.
don't mind? So when we started this, it was a cabinet and it was a discussion. There was nothing solid. It was a discussion. Bill so graciously took the lead and created a slideshow that we were gonna present to the board. Nothing was etched in stone, nothing was concrete. When we presented it to you at the board retreat, it was just a draft, a presentation, where everyone could have come together and asked all the questions that they even wanted to ask. Dr. Leverett so graciously asked the people in the room, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, now is the time. Because seriously, nothing was etched in stone. There were people that took that as if it were out into the district and spread it like wildfire. And there was nothing true to it because we were asking for opinions. Because no one in that room knew exactly where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do, because we were just discussing. Nothing was etched in stone, I cannot say that enough. So when we had that board retreat, the slides were up there. And you may have noticed some slides we went by quickly because we hadn't sat down and really discussed those because it was just a draft and maybe that should have been up there. Okay? At the end, Dr. Leverett
agree, and I hear what
But I
you're saying.
just feel like that really needed to have been said.
No, we knew that's what happened.
Okay.
We know that.
Okay.
And I'm no disrespect to you, Ms. Dixon, but here's what I'm saying to you. A date was just given out of April 28th, right? And the discussion is asking us to be on board with this plan that's coming. You hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
That same type of information that was just said is now going to go back out to the public again. So I'm saying, I'm asking the question again. As long as everyone is on board, right? That needs to be on board, which is the fee school administration and this board, right? Because I don't want the same crap to happen again.
Right.
Because again, a date was thrown out today, so it's going to go out. Y'all, they're changing everything on April 28th. They want everything done. That's what's going to happen again today.
But we don't
So-
want it to, right?
No, I want to make sure that everyone is on board before this board, who ultimately has the choice or decision to make for that to come to fruition.
Right.
Yes.
I'm just putting that out right now.
Absolutely, Trustee Gross. And the other thing that I want to say, and I want us to all be aware, if we say that we are here and we are good for children, and you're going out there giving another message,
It's
it
perfect.
totally contradicts
Yes.
what we stand for as a district.
Right.
Correct. That's why I'm saying
So
that. Donna.
collectively, we have an opportunity to not allow that to happen.
Right.
That's all. You just had clarity at the table because this is public.
I'm not hard to find. We're not hard to find. I have an open door policy. But again, if we are going to do this for kids, then let's do it.
All right.
Dr.
Thank you.
Hudson, thank you. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Dr.
you, Trustee Gross.
Thank
I
you.
do want to bring to your attention, we do have Nicole here online live. She's at a workshop, so she is here present. And if she wants to speak, she can speak as well. But Peace is on board. Miss Nicole, if you want to just speak to that, they can hear you.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Sorry I cannot be here in person. I am in Grand Rapids learning more about early childhood education. But I did want to just comment briefly that the Peace staff is totally on board with moving our location to a new venue or school. We've talked about it at great length. I included them right away in possible solutions to where we could go. We did just discuss it again at our staff meeting on Friday last week, and they are all a go, and everybody is excited about it.
Thank you.
So we did do a tour of ITA and ILA. Whoever could come, we were actually on spring break, but we came in on that Monday to view the building to make sure that, number one, there were enough classrooms available for for Peace at ILA, because they will fill those classrooms. And then we did a tour. So once we did that tour to make sure that they fit, we came back. I met with Matt Carafa. I also met with Dr. Terman. We did a tour to make sure that the classes that are needed for ITA, ILA to blend, we did a tour. So I did the tour by myself at first with Ashley. And then after that tour, we went to Bill and also Marvin. They did a tour to make sure that they fit based on compliance and things of that nature. After that, I went back to Mr. Carafa and I said, Mr. Carafa, I need you to guarantee that the rooms fit. So we did at least 3 to 4 walkthroughs as it relates to just making sure, number one, they fit. Now, as we do the presentation, you will hear in more detail how we defined and how we got to the different numbers, and our expectation is that you still want us to go into more detail, or do you feel like we will capture that when we go to the presentation?
No negative feedback from ILA or ITA with those kids coming over there? Okay. I'm serious.
No, I don't.
I'm putting it all out there because
Right.
this district has been separated. It's us and them. So I'm just being real, because I don't want the same mess we had before, because that separated the district. So I'm just throwing it out there. And they're fine with the move over there to do it. Okay, thank you.
Trustee Julie, you have a question?
Actually, I need us, I don't know, make a motion for us to go into close so I can share some information with just us that is contradictory to what I'm hearing, that was brought to my attention. So I don't know how we do that, but right now, we're in contradiction to the information that I've received and the communications that I've received from not only, ITA staff, but also Peace staff. So it would be in direct contradiction that everyone is 100% on board. So I don't know how we do that.
Okay, well, I don't know that she said it's 100%. I don't think she
just said
she said they were totally, but I don't think she meant that.
I'm just saying, yes.
But we
So I hear
also
you.
said that there was nothing 100.
Yeah.
Okay, this was to my colleagues, right here, just information that I'm still gonna share.
Yeah, we do have a closed session.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
yes, but I think the point that we made, that we know that nothing is 100%. Just as when we rolled out or began this conversation, we learned then that there weren't gonna be people happy with every decision that we made.
I just want to be shared.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So,
And we do.
Transparency,
To share.
when they look and they ask, did Dooley speak up
No, that's fine.
for their position, I can be able to say 100%, yes, I share it.
Okay. No, that's fine. But again, I just want us to understand that we know nothing is 100%. Everybody is not
That's
gonna
correct.
be on board with every single thing, every single decision that this board makes, nor the decisions or choices that administration makes. So we have to keep that in mind. However, we know that our leadership is in place to make the best decisions that is for this whole community. And some may not like it and some will. And so we have to still move accordingly. But no, you can share.
Doc, I agree with that, but here's how we do this. We have a plan and we have to fulfill this plan because of what we're going through. But it's how we roll it out. It's how it's discussed and how it's put in place. And as long as those who don't agree with it have a clear understanding that, yeah, we accept that you don't want to do this and it's difficult for you to change. However, it's the way you roll it out. We've seen that. Listen, this is not my first rodeo when it comes to closing schools, am I right? Layoffs, right? Oh, well, if there's no reason for keeping that building open, or unless we're going to sell it and get rid of it if we're moving, because the area where it is. Let's be real. It's a terrible area. We really got to think about what we want to do with the building and plans. That should be coming forthwith too, if not today. So let's be real about this. But it's how we roll it out. That's what we need to do and how we do it. This is why I asked the question. Are they aware? Were they involved? And I know 100% of people don't agree with it. Ain't 100% of this board going to agree with it. Right? But it's how you roll it out. And you have to respect that. That's the issue. Listen, folks, we've done this before. Few times.
Yes.
Right? Which means, what I'm saying is, we can get through this too. But we got to do it right. That's all.
Trustee Miller?
I just had a question in regards to the logistics behind moving them to WHRC, which was just, correct me if I'm wrong, renovated for the older students, and then bring your younger students in there. If you guys can expand on, because in the older schools, the sinks are up higher, the chairs are, higher, the desks are higher. So for bringing in the K through 2, the little babies, how would that transition into a school that's equipped for like high school and older kids?
So, sorry, I don't get it, anybody. So, WHRC is traditionally a K through 5 building. That building was designed that way to be for elementary students. In some areas of the building, like the north wing, and some of the toilets are a little bigger. But the south wing, where it's supposedly where we're going to put PSEC, that area is already approved by OSHA pretty much, have the architecture already. Those have their toilets and stuff already ready for the younger kids. So that area that we picked for that building, the reason why we did pick that and we looked at it, is one of the schools that is ready, capable of doing that. So minor changes might need to take place in a couple of rooms, but pretty much that school is ready for that to take on that.
Thank you for letting me know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went to the fourth grade.
I have one more walk through, but thank you. I appreciate it. President, I have a question.
Yeah.
And Dr. Lovett, you may not have this right now, and so, but my question is, as it relates to being a district, what is the size that we must maintain to be a district? As it relates to buildings, pupil enrollment, any of that? And I don't expect you to have that on top of your head, but that's, I'm throwing that out there for you to be able to, just give it to me, give it to me later.
Okay,
What's the size? Because at some point, some of the questions that are coming to being fielded to me, they're concerned about if we drop it below a certain level, that we lose our status as a district. I don't know if that's true or not, I haven't looked it up, so I need to know that.
The state changed.
I don't know.
Do not lose your status, Madam President.
Okay.
I'm just fielding questions, so people
Yes,
know.
yeah, no, that's fine. And
Represent.
I'm glad we have somebody here that can answer right off the top. Dr. Weatherspoon, you were sharing?
You cannot lose your status as a district.
Where can I find that
Even if
information?
you have 0 students,
Where can I find that information at?
to the law.
No, I mean, where can I go look to pull it on? To look, read it just for myself? So I can give it to the people that's asking me.
I don't have the number off the top of my head.
451, I think.
I'm not asking for a number, I'm saying, where
Well,
is the
that's
information located?
the General Powers Act is 451, I think.
Yeah, Public Act 451 in 1976.
Is that on the state website?
Right, that's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
you can Google it. Comes right up.
Yes, they.
You look like Google.
That ain't where I come from with that talk.
Yeah, we have districts in the state that are, under 100 kids.
I just wanna be able to report back to the people and answer the questions that have, I wanna be able to say, I did ask, whether I got the answer, that's another bit. I'll tell them to Google it too.
There are districts that are in existence for taxing purposes, and they have 0 students, but the district of reference is another school district.
What'd you say?
There are districts that have 0 students, but they are still a district
How so?
for taxing purposes. The district has debt, for example, and they have 0 students. That district still must pay its debt. The school of record can become another school district that is negotiated with the receiving district.
So the city technically doesn't have a school district. They just have it in name. There's no, I'm trying to follow your
It has a school district, it has an a board of education, but it has 0 students enrolled.
So as a parent, hypothetical situation here, I'm moving to that city, where would I put my kids to go to school?
A school of choice or the school of
Okay,
record.
school of choice.
Or the district that is named
that's my
as
case,
the
y'all.
receiving district.
Isn't Inkster one of them example? Inkster.
Inkster,
Buena Vista.
Highland Park,
Yes.
They closed.
Buena Vista and
Buena
Buena Vista.
Vista.
Yes, they're example.
That's my case.
Yes, those examples.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weatherspoon. Dr. Everett, you want to continue with your presentation? Unless there was any other questions for the trustees? No? Please.
So, good evening, everyone. What we have up on the screen now, WHRC is a very large piece of property. So, I know this image is tough to see. The green area to our left, if you're looking on this screen, that's where we're proposing Peace Academy go. There's 20 classrooms there, 17 for the Peace Academy and 3 for their special education department. The tan area, that's the ILA, ITA, so the Younger the 55 program would be located in that area. And the blue area, that's the middle school and high school classrooms that would take over that area. I can give you a closer view. So this is 20 rooms for Peace that would move into the south wing. That's how we call that section of the school is the south wing. If you can think in your mind, this area right here is where the big marquee is out there. This is WHRC, and this is where you enter into the building on that south side.
Okay, now I'm getting it.
The Peace Academy would have their own separate entrance. At this door here, which is door number 5, they would have security and all of their equipment there to enter through that area to keep them completely separate from the general population over there. As we look at that, again, just a little closer view of where the ITA, the K-5 program would be. Has all the classrooms, number of students listed there, the good grades. The red line through the rooms is, today that's one great big room, putting a partition in the middle of it, splitting it into 2 separate rooms. And again, we go up to where the high school and middle school area is. So they're all pretty much self-contained in their own little zones. There's pockets of offices, depending on if it's a BIS worker, or different social workers, counselors, throughout the building.
These are all on the first floor.
These are all on the first floor. Any questions on the floor plan before we go on?
I'm just thinking,
Yes, ma'am.
I think I heard the presentation, you want to preserve the same educational structure, layout, et cetera, that is now enjoyed with the people that currently occupy the building over there. If we're going to infringe and minimize that space, how, and that's not even your question, how will you maintain the same
Well,
flow?
so it's not a 1-for-1. So today they'll show you on a later slide, there's rooms that are used there. There's 6 classrooms today that are Harrington that will vacate. They'll go back to the Harrington building once that building opens up this summer. There are classrooms that are SEA, so our Special Education Academy, that are located over there that will be relocated to different spaces. So it's not a 1-for-1. We're doing shifting of available classrooms that are there that are being used there, and then there's the merging of the ILA, my acronyms right, into ITA, which combines additional space or makes available additional spaces by doing that.
So we will be decreasing current sizes of classrooms. Is that a yes or no?
Not necessarily. So there's, and we'll get into it in other slides, of how it breaks down per classroom. Dr. W. did a great slide that addresses that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Define decreasing, when you say decreasing, what do you?
Square footage.
Oh,
Square footage. Well, now I'm not talking about pupils. I'm talking about
Okay, that's
physical
all right.
size.
Okay.
I'm talking about physical size. Right? Thank you for making me make that. So when we decrease these classrooms for physical size, how much are we decreasing the square footage to make additional classrooms? And that's what I'm saying. When you look at the layout, that's just like a house. You cut up my house, my bedroom won't be as big.
So these rooms were already split. So previous to us separating or doing the work at WHRC,
Correct.
these rooms were already split
Let me ask this question.
and operating.
I see what she's doing. Are you taking away classroom spaces from kids that were previously in ITA, ILA, high school, and middle school? Was the building being used to its near fullest capacity before peace was considered?
No, no.
Now, by putting peace in there, does that put that building at its fullest capacity?
No, still don't.
And still space available?
Still space.
So you're not taking away space or moving ILA or ITA from spaces to cram them, to move them. That's all I'm saying. That building has enough capacity. For example, the high school has a capacity of 2,500.
2,500 students.
And there's about 1,000 in there now. 789, I think. So you got a capacity of almost 1,500 kids that can go into the high school.
Correct.
So I'm saying, this could, I give a hypothetical number. This building can hold 3,000 students. You probably only had like less than 1,500.
Actually, it was about 2,300 students at WHRC.
WHRC of a capacity of how many in that building could be? The maximum.
It's less than 1,000.
No, the maximum capacity of WHRC kids.
2,300.
2,300.
Yeah.
And you had how many kids in there now? Before peace?
1,000.
About 1,000.
So you still have enough room to put Peace and probably another school in there.
Correct.
That's the answer.
Oh, correct.
You are not taking away space from
No,
those who
no.
are already there.
No.
By bringing in Peace, you don't have to cut classrooms in half. That building can still hold those kids without interrupting the amount of kids that's already there.
Correct.
That's the answer. So listen.
So, the relocation process today, Soxy, our construction management company, is currently developing bid documents for the moving package. To do all of these shuffles, they'll have to go out for bid, be awarded. The anticipation is that if the board approves this, if that's the April 28th meeting, immediately after that it'll go out to bid, so that summer's approaching, we have to get this scheduled and those resources allocated. So as I mentioned before, over at WHRC, we'll be relocating 6 classrooms that are currently residing there. That as Harrington opens up, those classrooms will shuffle back to Harrington, so it makes those rooms available. There's 4 special education classrooms from WHRC that will move. 2 of those will move over to Rogers Elementary School, and 2 will move over to Harrington Elementary School. Dr. Debson has met with his administrators, at those buildings to discuss that already. And then we'll do the realignment. So obviously we need to, once those rooms open up, we need to move the ILA kids into the ITA classrooms. There's a lot of internal moves that need to take place that we need to coordinate. And then pack up and move and unpack the 20 classrooms from Peace over to WHRC by the end of the summer. And it's all doable. A lot of this happens in parallel with each other. I will.
Questions? If I'm not mistaken, we've already approved the budget for the move of Harrington from and back to Harrington.
Yes.
Yes.
That's already been done.
Yes.
As it pertains to the move from Peace to WHRC, where would the funding come for the move?
So we'll get into that in another slide if you
I
don't
didn't know
mind
if
waiting a little bit.
we got that was coming.
Yep.
Do I have to take the podium or can I just stand right here real
You come up
relaxed?
a little bit.
You know how I feel about this. Okay.
You'll be all right.
I know, 'cause you don't. Go green.
Order.
Okay. Okay, so ITA at WHRC now has its own school code. I don't know if you guys know the history as to why it did not. Is everyone clear on that, or do I need to repeat? Okay. So. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So, our students were, let's see, so ITA students, they were spread across the district, but physically at ITA to help boost the test scores of our K-12 students. So the auditors were on us about getting the school code for ITA. So we successfully did that a couple weeks ago. 04625 is now the ITA at WHRC K-12 school code. So what that means basically is that the students that were spread out across the district in our K-5, middle school and high school that were actually at ITA, now they're actually going to be in ITA. No more part-time status, no more dividing up their test scores or what have you. I'm not sure Dr. Leverett or Dr. Davidson wants to speak to that, but now they're there solely. So what may happen is that we have 2 schools in partnership right now, the middle school in Harrington. We're not sure, we're very hopeful that there will remain the only 2 schools in partnership. But because we're shifting those K-12 students into their own space without sharing them across the district, we're not sure what's going to happen, but we're believing that all is going to be well. Okay?
Regardless of the move.
Regardless of the move, yeah. And Peace, they're going to be at ITA too, but they're going to they'll have to remain with the school code that they have because they're GSRP, but they're just going to have a different location. So that's just me going to second switching the location, and then Peace will be fine.
Because if we're talking about
equitable opportunities for all students, which is why you're gonna see what we mean about being more intentional about project-based learning for our students. And this first phase, and I won't go into your slide presentation, Dr. Deverson, but when we think about the professional development requirements for project-based learning, when we did it back in 2019, that's like 45 hours. So we're gonna have to span that over a couple of years to make sure we take a deep dive so that all the teachers have a strong knowledge of what project-based learning is and how to execute it in the classroom. But again, it could be potentially, we don't know, but again, if we get real tight alignment with this curriculum, we're gonna see some good outcomes. So all of it is tied together and connected.
So, years ago, the code, if I recall, working in the district, the data was needed from ITA to go with Pontiac High's data. That's why they didn't have the code. Because they couldn't stand alone. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, basically, that's what I think. Maybe I didn't say it right, but yeah, so the K-12 ITA students, when I say spread across the district, that means they had a part-time status in Alcott and Owen.
No, I'm only talking about the way the codes, we were told the codes went because the high schoolers that data was needed to merge with Pontiac High, therefore they could not stand alone independently and have their own code. So now you're saying because of the elementary piece, am I missing something here?
No, not just for the elementary piece, it's K-12. So the entire, and maybe, I don't know.
Years ago. Hey, I'm good.
I think you're right though.
Yeah, I know I'm right.
Back in the day, I think, back in the day.
Yeah, that's all I asked for.
They probably didn't have a code because, like I said, they were just considered still be part of that high school or whatever, but they were just in a different location.
Oh, okay, so that was before me then, okay.
But I'm thinking she right though, because you wanted that, AKA, I guess, politics, whatever. They wanted to be called a school now. So now that you want to have your own separate school or label it as a school, probably because we decided to put the K-12 over there, because I think originally you only started off in high school. And that was very So when you started adding more in there, now they're looking at it, okay, well this could be its own school, and then based on the numbers you got in there, you probably can't, have it like that without having your own code. So if you kept your numbers low, and didn't include like the K through 6 or something, or K through 8, you probably would have been okay.
The Michigan Department of Ed is requiring that we have a school code K-12, not just for the academic standpoint, but also from an attendance standpoint as well. When the auditors have been auditing us, they, every year, at least I've been in this role for a year, so the year that I've been in, they absolutely said in the 25-26 school year, we are required to get a school code for whoever is in WHRC, because the code is about the physical building.
Correct.
Not only that,
So even if it was 25 students there, even if it's 25 students housed in that building, it had to have its own code for safety reasons and everything else. And Diane?
Not only that, ITA as a satellite program, they are not able to receive Title I funds. And that was made very clear by MDE, unless they have their own state code. And then they are able to start the process of being a targeted school and then becoming a school-wide school in order to receive Title I funds. So it's about equity also with regards to having a state code, having accessibility to Title I, and all the other reasons that our colleagues here are sharing.
Was ITA and ILA always housed in WHLC from the beginning to now? Or no?
No.
That's what I'm asking, 'cause I don't know. I wasn't here.
So ITA started, has had multiple locations
ITA had multiple.
Multiple high school, it was at.
They were at ITA and at
They was at
the
schools that
high
they had.
school, they've been at WHRC, they've been at Whitman.
Yeah. It's, and then high.
But it did start at WHRC.
WHRC became, they took a wing over first, the ninth grade that was over there, back when Billy Fair was doing it.
Yeah.
So
there's been a lot of different
the
changes.
reason I'm asking, they are only receiving this code because the building.
I don't want you to say only, because only seems to be extreme.
No, because if you put ITA in the high school, 9 through 12, do they still become a school?
They wouldn't need a code.
It's the building.
Right.
And the Michigan Department of Ed is
What I
saying,
said. Am I right?
but it's more than just the building.
I'm not saying I'm saying. Because if they were separated and put in other schools, they wouldn't have an ITA school.
They would remain a program.
It would be a program.
And I'm not, listen, I don't want this misunderstood. I like the idea of this, but I have other questions that pertain to they'll become a school, which I'll deal with later. But I want to make sure that if a separation was made, that they were put in other buildings. WHRC was non-existent. We had a health reason we had to close WHRC. And we separated them, put them throughout the district. They will not become a school.
Correct.
Yeah. MDE pushes because it looks like a school, it acts like a school, they're saying it is a school.
And it should be a school.
Kids come there at the start of the day, they're there all day. Where other districts have like academies, where they're there for part of the day, they're saying, an academy is a little different. They're at the high school and then they go off to a separate building that might be an academy. Part of it, so like OTAC a little bit. Doesn't function quite the same as this.
Give me also another reason outside of just the building itself that they would be considered to be given school code.
That would be one of the main reasons.
And so,
Because of the building.
another thing too, it was an auditing like 90%, because teachers would be classified or scheduled to teach in ITA or ILA, but then the students are part-timing, but they're at Alcott, Whitman, Harrington, so the auditor had to like pick them apart in order to
No,
count where they were.
I hear you.
It was an issue.
Here's where I'm going. Outside of it being the building, as it pertains to the Michigan Department of Education saying you become a school because you got a lot of your kids in this one building, they're going in the morning, leaving in the afternoon. Then does it also incorporate a specific curriculum different than the districts? Does it consist of an athletic program? Because right now we don't have enough kids to field a football athletic team, basketball athletic team, soccer team, maybe. Get where I'm going? Does athletics, any of that stuff, involve making it a school?
So when I completed the application with SEPI, that was not one of the questions they asked. They didn't ask.
They didn't ask.
Sports.
Again, I don't have a problem with that, but some people have an issue because the kids are involved in athletic programs with the high school and the middle school. And if you were to make them a school, would they be their own entity in athletics? And why can't they? Because they're a school. Just like Money Central, Money North.
Yeah.
But they don't fit, but here's where I'm going with this. And I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me. There's not enough children in there that are part of athletics to field a team to represent the ITA school. Mine is, we need to find a way to continue to incorporate the athletic program with the current athletic program in the district, with the high school and the middle school, until we field enough students in that school to do so. Get where I'm going? That should not change. So, I don't know what word is used, so you can continue to.
So unified. So when I think about that, I think about like the small district where my kids went to school.
Yes.
They didn't have enough kids to make a hockey team, so they unified.
Had to unify with this.
It's called
That's what I'm saying. When we create this plan of them going to another school, that too should be considered. Also, if they're going to be in a school in WHRC, They also have to add, either we implement a alternate CTE program in that building, or they be involved to create some type of transportation to the high school where it's housed. Whatever we need to do. Also, the high school needs to be involved in the robotics. Middle school as it is in ITA. Everyone needs to be unified because it appears to be separate when it comes to activities in the district. I just need that to be put out there, because these are the questions that's being thrown out at me. Saying that she's getting, I'm getting the same thing. What I'm gonna do if my kid go to ITA, they ain't got a team, but my kid wanna play for the district.
Right.
They don't have enough kids in ITA to play football.
So just to have like a candid discussion, that's what we wanted to talk about further when we presented this in the beginning, but we didn't get there because it was put out there prematurely.
I know, I
We
agree.
wanted to discuss.
That's why I'm throwing it all out now. So
9/12.
we're being videoed, so I wanted to make sure that these
Okay.
questions was being
Yes,
said,
we
and by the
totally
time they
understand.
come out, at least they, the least they can say, well, the board was asking questions.
Yeah, yeah, because that was part of what we wanted to say the first time, but it was prematurely put out there.
Exactly.
And so now
That's
here we
all.
are.
So, thank you, Doctor. That's all I wanted to make clear. So let's look at what we need to do as it pertains to extracurricular activities between both schools, and we would decide to make this a school.
And I made note of that.
Because
Thank you.
ITA was never going to disappear.
And talk to your athletic department. Thank you.
So, just wanted to let you all know, as we already discussed, that of course the school code is required by the Michigan Department of Ed. We have successfully fulfilled that ask of us. As Tanya has already discussed, when they give us, when we split the scores out, they are gonna possibly let us know what schools are gonna be partnership schools, so I don't want you to be surprised about that. We're with the hopes that the only partnership schools we will continue with will be Whitman and the middle school, but we don't wanna surprise you if, once we split it, that it will be something else.
Love it.
As it relates to the International Technology Academy, International Language Academy will be infused. So I want to give a breakdown of each grade level, K through 5, so that we have an understanding. Kindergarten will be all new students. All of these new students will be application only. Kindergarten, application only, with 2 kindergarten teachers. For 1st through 5th grade, these students will be grandfathered in. No application from these students who are currently in the building. So if you look at each grade level, we added an ITA, what they have currently, ILA, what they have currently. At each grade, 1st grade, 82 students will require 4 teachers. With that, it was 2 teachers at ILA, 2 teachers at ITA, no teacher displaced. Just so you have knowledge, K through 3rd, require maximum students is 26 students. 4th through 5th, max student is 30. Again, 2nd grade, 88 students, 4 teachers. 3rd grade, 88 students, 4 teachers. 4th grade, 66 students, 3 teachers. 5th grade, 64 students, 3 teachers. With a total of 438 students, 20 classrooms, which we showed on the slide before, that we have that information. Just so you know, at kindergarten, currently, there are 4 kindergarten teachers. I want to pause there to give think time. Currently, for kindergarten at ILA and ITA, there are 4 teachers. So 2 teachers, kindergarten teachers, will be able to fill vacancies somewhere else in the district.
So you said there's 438 students in 20 classrooms. That's an average of 21 kids in classroom.
Well, you can't add, well, yes, but we don't want to do the average. What we did was, 1st grade, there is 4 divided into 82. Because at K through 3rd third grade, they can only have 26 students per the teacher contract.
That's what that's where I'm going. Thank you.
Then for fourth and fifth, 30 students. Hence, where you see 66, but there are 3 teachers because clearly there are 6 students over. And we have to pay for every student over. So we don't want to get into that space.
Okay. I'll see the average. What's your average? 64, fifth grade was
2 fifth, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a hypothetical again. Do we anticipate increased enrollment?
Yes.
So, is that in the presentation?
So if you look at, for first grade, there are 4 teachers at 82, that's about 20-something students per classroom. Any new student that will come in first through fifth, any new student that will come in first through fifth, any new student that came in first through fifth would have to apply.
So how many, I guess, I asked the question wrong. Yeah, that could be it. What's the cap
So
for enrollment for each grade level?
So kindergarten through third grade is 26. Anything?
No. For instance, you're anticipating 50 new students. Is that your cap for kindergarten for next year?
Correct.
So the 82 out of first grade, how many new enrollees should I say? Brand new enrollees to the district. Hypothetically, we don't went out there, we want our kids back, they coming back. Are we prepared to receive them?
So the max at first grade would be 84 if you did 26 times 4 teachers, because each classroom get 104. I'm sorry, I know math is math.
So you can expect an enrollment of 22 students.
So we're,
So your cap, to answer her question, your cap is 102 students.
104.
104 students.
at a field classroom of 26.
That's your cap.
That's only first through third grade though, because 26 times the number of teachers at fourth
What's the
grade.
amount of teachers there? You could get another teacher over there and have 5 teachers for first grade and 5 teachers, then your cap will go up.
but they're not.
You have to look at space off the rooms.
You gotta look, I hear what y'all saying. Yes,
Daryl.
based on your teachers and the amount.
25 is correct.
And about the capacity your teachers can take. But you have, okay, then I'll reiterate what I was saying. You still have enough space that if you took another classroom, an empty classroom, and brought in a brand new teacher for the 5th grade, that's 26 more students you can bring in, right?
30. At third, so I want you to be clear of the numbers. At 5th grade, it would be 30.
30 to a classroom?
4th and 5th grade would be 30.
So I don't know, because we're always hearing teachers over capacity and this and that. I don't know if it's just one set number or each grade level has a different capacity.
There's a different.
So, okay, so third. So if we have an empty 5th grade classroom and we hire a brand new 5th grade teacher,
Correct.
we can bring in 30 more students to the 5th grade ITS. Correct?
Correct.
But at the current numbers, you at least can bring in 26 without
With the
adding.
current numbers, without adding a new class.
Without adding.
That's what I'm saying. But the reason I'm saying this is the building, I don't want, listen, we're being caged. The building still, if we decide, from administration came to us and say, look, we got enough space over in ITA to increase our enrollment in ITA. If the board is on board with this, we want, because some parents are going to say, I want to come to Pontiac, but I want to go to that ITA program.
Correct.
Because, and I'm saying this because the previous message was, ain't enough space, we can't bring nobody else in, we can't do this, and we passed that. So now, if we look at bringing in more teachers, right, for the ITA program, we can bring in more kids to the ITA program. I just want to put that on the table right now.
Correct. But
Correct.
it would be application.
I know the process. I ain't speaking of the process. I understand all of that.
So no one.
I'm just throwing it out because we've been videoed. Right. That we have the ability in that building, there's enough space to increase the capacity of IPA if we wanted to, If we had to.
By what?
Correct.
Huh?
You have by what? If you say tomorrow we have an increase of 250 students, can we accommodate that? The answer is going to be no.
No. You know your capacity. I'm just saying. I want it to be known that there is still enough space for bringing peace in that we can still offer maybe some students coming through the process with the application. They could possibly be in the because I don't want to hear us, we turning people away. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. We bring it to the table first, discuss it, and make a decision there. That's what I'm saying. I don't want the negative stuff to get back out there. Money ain't gonna bring no more kids, and we done. We ITA, we cap, we ain't gonna do this no more. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want that message anymore.
Right.
Dr. Dumpster, just to be sure I'm understanding, are we going to keep ITA and ILA separate in classrooms? Or are we merging those kids?
Absolutely not separate.
They're going to come together.
Together.
Okay,
41
I'm good.
and 33
I'm good.
creates 82
I'm just trying to
elementary. Yep.
So like that Spanish that those students get currently at ILA, Trustee Dewey, all the kids K-5 will have an opportunity to be taught Spanish.
So the school will be called just ITA?
ITA.
Correct.
So ILA is gone in there.
In name, not
No, in name. So it'll be the ITA school.
That is correct.
The International Technology School, not academy.
ITA at WHRC.
International Technology Academy at WHRC.
It's going to be called what?
International Technology Academy at WHRC. That's what we put on the application to MDE that they approved.
They approved that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's all. That's cool. I just want to make it good.
Okay.
K-12.
All right, yeah. I'm clear, Doc, listen, hear what I'm saying. I'm just going to make everything. So there won't be no miscommunication.
And we appreciate
once
that.
this is done. So this won't be done.
But with the communications plan, we're getting there.
That's all. Because that causes mess.
I'm sorry, Secretary, did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc. I'm sorry.
Treasurer Terry, you have a question?
I did have one question. This is just in general, because, you know, some things happened over probably the last couple of weeks. And there was another proposal out there regarding, the breaking up in regards to grade levels. Now that we're basically combining this all into one grade level, are we gonna face those same type of issues now? Because now instead of just, you know, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, or just all 6th and 7th graders, you're doing a whole K-12 in there. So how are people gonna react to that? Before they had issues with just separating stuff.
ITA is K-12 today.
So they're not gonna have issues.
We're just moving at a different spots in the building.
I think you're referring, Trustee Terry, to the other part of the presentation.
Right.
Where we wanted to have for teachers to be able to plan, for them to be able to personalize instruction. That is another phase that we certainly want throughout the district where you have a building and it's just all 2nd and 3rd grade teachers. We have another building where it's all 4 or 5 teachers. So that professional development, that is all streamlined for the student, the opportunity for the teachers to have more efficient planning time with their colleagues. That is still, with the project-based learning, that is still something that we are very interested in pursuing down the line, yes.
But with the other schools.
Yep, with the 7, 8, I can't remember the
It was
configuration off the top of my
K2, 3,
head.
4, well, it was K2 and then it was a K5.
But that's not an ITA, ILA,
Yes.
K-12.
Yep, and then we have this other specialized building within project-based learning that we haven't gotten to yet. But that is correct.
Secretary, sorry, go ahead.
No, just food for thought. And I know Grove's already touched base on this too. Even with this move that we're doing, okay, I still would like long term. I don't need nothing tomorrow. But I still would like to see how, as Groves was saying earlier, and probably was doing as well, where are we seeing that move? Are we still gonna have that separation? As Groves said, are we still that us and them?
Yep.
And the plan, it sounds good, I like it, but at the same time, I still don't see that the unity part coming together versus the us and them. And then we throw pre-K into the picture too, so now Now is it us versus them? And that's all I want to say. Food for thought.
Yes.
And that's when you mix the extracurricular and sports come into play.
Yeah, how we
The way that we do.
unify all of the students.
That's exactly right.
Not just having one on the island by itself.
That's right.
That's food for thought. Food for thought.
Secretary Smith, and then Trustee
So that I think that's my thoughts too, is because how I see this presentation and how I hear everything is still is going to divide us, because no matter what, even if we have this curriculum, and I hear how you guys are talking about the second grade, third grade, stuff like that, me as a teacher, teaching 35 kindergartners, and then having eight those kids on the spectrum, I am not allowed to really be able to teach my kids at the potential, because I have too many kids in the classroom. And that is the concern of the teachers that I hear all the time, is that their classroom size are too big. And I have went in just to help on one of my days off, and it's like pandemonium. You can't teach inside of there because there's too many students. There was a class I was in where there was actually 40 students in this classroom, and the majority of them were non-speaking English students. And I think it was like 7 students who spoke English, and they're sitting in the corner not knowing anything of what was going on. It wasn't no learning being able to be done. So that's my problem, is that these class sizes are small. So I believe this is why ITA is more proficient than the high school, because I know that our students at the high school and middle school are just as capable of doing these things as well. But because they're in these larger class sizes, they're not being able to get the education that they're getting, because it's too much going on. So we have some students that want to learn, but they're not able to learn because it's too much going on. You know, you get what I'm saying? So how are we gonna change that and make it seem as if our children, so our families ask for our children, that they're getting the same education that everyone is getting?
So I wanted to address the class size for K-12 district-wide. All classes, K through 3, district-wide is still 26. 4 or 5 is still 30. So those numbers go across the district. That doesn't change for this program to across the district. That is in their contract. So if they go over, we have to pay when we go over. And the goal here is where we fell short, like say for instance, first grade is at 82. We want to maximize at 26, so we're going to ask for application for those students that are not at the 26.
So when I was in that classroom with 40 kids, we were seeing that.
That was middle school, for sure. What's the capacity at the middle school?
35.
So it's always our goal to stick in the contract. When they go outside of that, we pay them outside of that. I mean, it's never our intent to have a class over this
No, I
amount.
know it's not your intent. It's just, and I know it's, I mean, I work in school, so I know it's in nationwide. I know that we have teacher shortage and things of that nature. But that's my concern. Like, how do we? And the sad part is, I know that there's teachers who are actually overlooked. No, not that. They have been applying here, and they're not getting into our school district, and I don't know why they're not being able to get in. And these are teachers who are certificate, certified teachers. Some, I can give you names. So I know that we are short-staffed and things of that nature, but to me, that's the only way that we can be, good all across the board, is if, I'm not saying this, 26 kids in a classroom, middle school, and, high school, all, but a little smaller, you know what I mean? They're not getting that education that everyone else is, and that's why I felt that we needed to focus more on our counselors, because our counselors should be there able to, when they see that our children are behind, our kids should be going to, which I know Superintendent Williams has said that we can't force them to summer school. But how do we continue to say that our kids are seniors and they only get 10 credits? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a senior. that's our kids. It seems like our counselor should be stopping it and letting us know, like, hey, this child is behind, we need to get them in, what we used to have, credit recovery. Not even really credit recovery though, we had some other than credit recovery, night class. We should have night class and they go there.
Night class. But here's the other thing that I want to add to the conversation, and this has been great dialogue, but the other thing that I want to say is I have been talking to a lot of teachers, administrators, visiting buildings, and we have, it's not that we don't have the resources, that we don't have now the teachers, that's another issue, but the resources, the curriculum, and there are some areas in the curriculum that we need to tighten up. Well, we have an accountability issue in a lot of areas. So we can't say, oh, we don't have this process and procedure. Yes, we do. We have to follow them. And when they're not being followed, then what does that conversation or expectation look like? And so that's where we're moving to. Because we have the curriculum, we have the training, we have the resources, etc. But we really need to be focused on accountability, because we can't say, well, I taught it, they didn't get it. You signed an oath. I'm still a certified teacher. Exactly. That's how my instructor. Well, I have signed an oath. I'm still a certified teacher as well as an administrator. So that's where that differentiated instruction comes, where you have to scaffold instruction and know and understand who your students are when they come. I tell people all the time, yep, there might be a lot of kids in Pontiac that are poverty. That does not mean that they cannot learn. So we have to change the narrative.
And it starts with kids that were actually the better learners, were the children that were in poverty were the ones who were the best students. Because I know I was. I know all of us had to. We were what they would say were in poverty, but we had to get our education in it. And I'm not saying it's our teachers and staff.
No,
it's our parents, because that's what I see. I can look and tell which students' parents are actually trying. Even our students who can't speak English, I can see that their parents is trying with them at home. And so we have to push that. We have to somehow get our parents involved and our families involved to say, hey, we all have to work together in order for our children to get these quality education. Because like you said, when I can see that they get it. You saying that the curriculum is all the way across the board, so where's the issue? But like you just said, they're not doing it.
Yeah, we got to take a deeper dive into our reading, and we are we have to, a lot of kids, a lot of adults, they don't like to read. We have thousands and thousands of books that have come in from the Michigan Department of Ed and the literacy grant that Ms. Jeter applied for. So we have to, how can my student be a better student? Read.
Trustee Miller, and then
Okay.
Hi. Please allow me to be brutally honest. As a parent, I feel like, just to be honest, that you're starting the division in kindergarten. It's like, ITA, this is our golden egg. This is the one we got to keep and hold up. We're going to do this, we're going to do that for them. Oh, the rest of y'all going over there. That's how I feel about it. When it should feel like everybody is one Phoenix. The only thing that is different is that you are in a different building. And it doesn't feel like that. The kids know. So the kids know that when, now from kindergarten all the way up, lo and behold, they have to go to the high school. It's like, you came from over there, yeah. You came from over there. You ain't welcome here. Because as the adults is putting it in these students' head that are at WHRC, that they're better than the students at PMS and PHS. For real. And I hope that that's a focus that these are all of our kids. Some of these kids live across the street from each other. One go to PHS and one go to ITA. They beat out because the one at ITA has been conditioned to believe that they're better than our students at Pontiac High School. That's not true. That's not true. And that bothers me. And I mean, I love ITA. I mean, I like what you guys are doing with it, but we can't forget about all of our students here. All of our students. What's working at ITA that's not working at Pontiac High or Pontiac Middle School? All of our kids should be learning. So one is a severe shortfall. We need to do something better with them, whatever they're doing, and include it. Don't continue to promote them.
That was on display at our meeting here. And that came from parents and the ideas in the minds of the students from their parents. And that also came when we had, it also came when we had student government here. And there was a teacher sitting here with these kids and went back and relayed some falsehood information, which started another riot. So here's the thing, and I've said this before, and I didn't mean to cut you off, and I knew you were next, and thank God. But here's what I'm saying, and we've talked about this before. In order to change the narrative of a district, listen, we only got 3,900 kids in this district, right? But the last census says we got over 66,000 people in Pontiac, right? So what it's saying is, the majority of the people that live in Pontiac, kids don't come to the Pontiac School District. Correct?
Correct.
Right? Because there's a narrative. So now, if your kid don't attend here, or your kid is graduated, gone, and old, and don't live in the house, right? You have nothing for this district. You don't know anything. So how can I talk to Susie and Sharon, who kids don't go here, but they hearing Pontiac is terrible? You know how they're hearing that? It comes from us.
Yep.
We're saying that. We meaning staff, everybody that works in this district. Because that's where the information is coming from. So until we change the narrative and hold the people accountable that works in this district, because listen, 4 weeks ago was terrible. Channel 7 News, and it made us look like fools. Because now all of a sudden, all we had to do was wait and be patient. Because look what's going on now. Everybody happy now, IDA's come to school. So now they separated. All we had to do was wait. But no, the message got out. No, I'm not going to tell the guy.
No, you loud in my ear.
Oh, I'm sorry. The message got out wrong. Yeah. The message got out wrong. And it made us look like fools. Because of what we did as employees. We did that. We're no parent. We tell the narrative of our school and what we're doing. We put that message out there. So those who don't think that we're a good school district, who want to continue to say we're bad, get the hell out of here. Move on. Listen, I'm 63 years old. I went from preschool to 12th grade in Pontiac. I told my mama I didn't want to come back because of what I was hearing. Then she said to me, no, you're from here. So now I've been on the board for 13 years. 13 years because of what I believe. So I didn't leave. Because I don't send that message out there that this district is bad. I know what we're doing. I had a lady now at the store I was at. Oh, that's why people ain't coming to money. Why? Why? Because of what she's hearing from employees.
Correct.
Listen, and I'm saying to administration, and I've said this before, and I'm not going to say it no more after this. Start holding your people accountable. From the principals on down. Hold them accountable. So now, if you want to send another anonymous letter, how gross it ain't this and this, keep sending them. I got 6 years. I ain't going nowhere. Hold them accountable for what they say and definitely for what they do. Find a way. Then that'll stop. That's the problem in Pontiac. And I'm sick of it. Because that's why, listen, all this can work. But you know what? Negative Nancy's, right? Doubtful days, right? They out there, right? But it's got to be more of us who speak in the same language about the positive part of Pontiac than negative Nancy and doubtful days. That's where it starts, Sue, and I'm telling you. You start hauling the ass in the office, right? Taking care of business, putting them on notice, it'll stop.
You had something to say?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. To agree
poor information about the district. It's hard to change the optics on what we look like when it's our own people stabbing us from behind. You know, it's our very, but what would that look like? How do we hold staff accountable for how the narrative that put out? What is that?
One of the challenges that we have is we have these anonymous, and I'm of the position that if there is an issue, then I'm going to show myself. So I have messaged, there's no one trying to retaliate, there's no one trying to get you. If you have a real issue and you want to help inspire change and you don't agree with something, Dr. Leverett, we need to talk, we need to have a conversation. Now the other backdoor things that are happening with this letter going here, this letter going there, that is nothing but the devil.
It covers.
And the devil is busy.
It covers.
That's it. Because I'm right, we're here. We are all going to come to the table and have a conversation about whatever it is. Anything other than that, how can I address something when you're saying, oh, I'm scared, I'm this, I'm that? I'm one of the least scariest person, but what you're not going to come to me and do, you're not going to come to me and play games. Because there is a system of accountability that is called progressive discipline. Every day you wake up, you have a new opportunity. But if you're doing something that you're not supposed to do, you're going to be held accountable. That is the bottom line. I'm not going to pat you on the back. We all grown adults. Oh, don't do that anymore. No, you did this, and this is what's going to happen as a result of that. I have no problem with it. I hope I answered your question, Trustee Bumble. Thank you.
Okay. Just, it's almost like we've been eating from the inside out, and it's not good.
Yes.
And these persons, they know who they are. And it's only constructive when it's done openly. Because writing a letter, that's just gossipy and it's messy. But I do want to go back to what you were saying in regards to like how we're dividing the district. One of the things that we wanted to talk about with everyone before it got blown into wildfire and wildflowers is the K2, 3, 4, was it K2, 3, 4, 5, 6? And then if we were able to do that, then this would be happening. The ITA school students, my high school students have been at the high school. The K2 would have been in one spot. The 3, 4 would have been in one spot. And then you have your senior teachers that are able to go and nurture the younger teachers and put everyone on the same page academically as far as the students. But we couldn't get there. But that was part of what we wanted to do. And that would have stopped most of the division as well. But, you know.
I'm just reporting on what the kids are saying.
Yeah,
okay. I got a high school, and I understand that may be the intent of to put them all there, but for all of these years, according to the kid, and my kid wasn't in this district until this year, according to him, back in October, they, quote, keep them over there and let us stay over here. Because they are the house and we are the fields, black people. Okay? That's why my 15-year-old told me that. And he ain't go to Banana School here in Pontiac until 10th grade.
Yeah, see, that's what we were trying and stuff. That's what we're going to have a discussion now.
Yeah, and I'm being completely honest. And that's why I was saying, you can't just dump them all in there, but for all of these years, they've been treated like, or felt like they were better than the students at Pontiac High School. So that was my opposition, that you just can't say up one day and here you go. It's going to be some problems at the school. Because our Pontiac High School and middle school students do feel like they're beneath the students that's at IOA and ITA. I'm just hearing it from the schools. I'm not making it up.
We're going to talk about how we can slowly merge everyone to make it one big happy family.
Yeah.
But I know I keep saying it over and over again, but we didn't have the opportunity to get there.
But that was.
But I don't think it's too late.
No, I don't think it's ever too late.
Right.
I'm a parent and a teacher, and I've been in the district for, and started teaching when I was 26 years. So I was at WHRC when preschool was there. Preschool functioned, we functioned K-5. Then the high school came, they were on the north wing. We've always functioned. It wasn't, there was the big kids never bothered the little kids. There was room for everyone. The rooms being smaller, the rooms that are there now are humongous.
Thank you.
Humongous. You're not Yeah.
We're supposed to
It's
be.
where they're supposed to be.
Thank you.
So,
Yes,
that is true. My question is, how do I get to be on one of these committees? Because I live in Royal. I live in Commerce Township now. My kids have gone to Pontiac their life. My daughter left when we went to the 45, 47 kids and fell behind in Royal. And I brought her back to Pontiac. She was grade level by the end of third grade. And it wasn't ITA, it was just WHRC. I was one of the recipients, first recipients from Pontiac to get the Evans Scholarship, is not Michigan State on a full ride, because I was right. Go Lloyd!
Great choice.
I've seen so much in the district, and I think what startled everyone was just it is change. It's a scary thing. And I think sometimes the people that get voices aren't always the people like me. That, you need to hear the good stuff too. I wouldn't trade my dad. Grew up in Report here, moved to Pontiac, went to the Pontiac schools. I happened to be fortunate, grew up in Birmingham. I'm back in Pontiac, did everything in Pontiac. My kids, I am so proud of them being graduates. My son's graduating this year from Pontiac. My daughter went to ITA, she's quiet, she needed a smaller setting. She played volleyball, sir, but she played with the middle school, volleyball team. So my son's doing construction, he goes with the high school kids. I just think that it's the idea of how, like you said, the lens we're hearing it from, but how do you get to be a part of something like this? Because, we hear different things, and like, I'm one that, if I have a strong opinion, oh God, K2, K3, only 4 or 5, because I see it as, when I've known a child since kindergarten, even if I'm the 5th grade teacher, you've built such a strong relationship, that when you get them in 5th grade, I'm not trying to learn you new. I know your mom, I know your, I'm getting some of my first graders children. So I think that was scary for me. I was like, oh my God, that was startling. But to have the open conversation, and I appreciate the questions. I wish this was what was filmed.
It is.
Because, yeah, but like for real. Because these are like good questions. Yeah. And I agree with you. It's the lens it's coming out in. But I think if more people like me could be a part of things like this, the young, wise women and men, we have a different voice and different people listen to us differently. And I'm union, yes, I believe in union, but I believe in honesty. And I just believe in being open and being like, oh, good question. Oh, that was a good question. And honestly, being here and listening to it is different than someone else's perspective. Because it's whatever lens you're looking at, and how you're looking at it. But that's what I think, when you do talk about the K2, I'm going to come because I'm like, this is so scary. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I know my kindergartners. I've been waiting, like my daughter goes, this is the kindergarten class you're going to retire with. You got to wait till they're in 5th grade. And then to think I wouldn't have that growth with them,
Yes,
that's scary. But I don't know. I appreciate all this conversation. And people like me, we've seen the buildings. It works. It sounds crazy. I think that is, my son went to preschool and college. And yeah, for me it wasn't daunting, but for my sister picking him up, she's like, oh dear. It's just not right or wrong. We just all live different. And I want to scream from the rooftop, poverty does not equate intelligence. A degree does not equate intelligence. And nobody can steal.
They graduated college, so.
Yeah, nobody steals your knowledge. They can take my money, my car, whatever, but not my knowledge. And Pontiac, I am so proud of my kids and what they've learned and I would not have received the care and love I've gotten from my children, not because I know who I am, because Mr. Holson had no idea who I was, but my son, I know he went to graduate diploma. He's at ITA. I didn't care what school he went to. He saw a kid that was struggling, and he helped him. Not as counselors at his school, who I've never heard from, but these high school, and we're good teachers everywhere. I don't care what school. And I thought that was pretty smart about when WHRC flooded, we were at the high school as elementary. None of those kids bothered us.
That's right. That's all I'm saying.
But again,
That's all I'm saying,
Nobody
man. You speak the truth. It's all about the messenger and not the message. It's the, right. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate your comments and well received, and I think others will find them well received too. And we need to get our meeting back on track. Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to go to the next slide, and I also wanted to say, just so you know, as it relates to any time a class is over, Human Resources, Curriculum Instruction, and Student Services, we work together to say, okay, this class is over, we need to do something about it. So classes are not just over without some conversation. So with that being said, from a curriculum standpoint, we do know that there is a new school code. ILA will merge with ITA K-12. Peace will continue to use their existing code at WHRC. At ITA, project-based learning will be the model at ITA. We wanted to show a brief video of what project-based learning is. It's about 3 to 4 minutes.
And in the future, the trustee.
Yes.
We want project-based K through all the schools in the district.
Throughout the district.
Yes.
And we've already reached out to Oakland schools to start that work. Please be mindful, project-based learning was once in the district, so at ITA, we may not have to train everyone because some of those teachers were already infused in that training. So we need to do a survey with that staff to find out who is where so that we don't give the same training to them, because like you all said, project-based learning is already in some classes already still going on.
Project-based learning is a pedagogical approach that involves students in a long-term, in-depth investigation of a real-world challenge. So instead of memorizing established knowledge or following an instruction that offers a fast path to facts, students actively work on a problem that allows them to develop several skills simultaneously. To understand the difference, we can look at the experience pupils have in a conventional class led by Mr. Listen and compare that to what they take away from doing a project with Mrs. Do. The objective, learn how to engineer a tall tower. In the conventional class, the students sit at their desks and look at the blackboard. Mr. Listen first goes over some principles of physics and then instructs the students that are still able to pay attention to design the optimal structure for a high tower. When doing project-based learning, or PBL, the students sit in groups. Mrs. Do then gives each group 20 strands of uncooked spaghetti, scotch tape, a cotton thread, and some marshmallows. Then they are told they have 18 minutes to build the highest possible structure that could hold up the spongy confection. So what will the kids in the different classes learn? And what do their minds remember? With Mr. Listen, all kids might learn something about towers, a few might learn some engineering, and one could, in theory, learn to construct an ideal tower structure. But just a week later, most will have forgotten everything. Mrs. Do's Marshmallow Tower Challenge activated the kids' brains in various areas and taught the children something about construction, creativity, physics, and teamwork. Maybe more importantly, they learned that if they fail the first time, they can try again and still succeed. They learned to learn, and even decades later, some might still remember that day. The benefits of project-based learning include high engagement and a greater depth of understanding. They practice communication, critical thinking, and creativity, and as a result, often experience better learning outcomes in general. Randomized controlled trials involving thousands of students demonstrated that project-based learning significantly outperformed traditional curricula, raising academic performance across academic disciplines. The best teachers often combine projects with traditional instruction or run what's known as active learning classrooms so that students get to make sense of trying, failing, doing, and the theory from the educator. What are your thoughts about learning through projects? Since education is allegedly not about what the teacher covers, but what the students discover, is it the better way to learn?
So when we go back to the slide, again, Spanish instruction will be K through 5 at ITA. And then as it relates to the board decision about peace, going from 16 to 18 students per class, expanding 4 days to 5 days. And just know that in 2026-27 school year, we are going to be required to go to 5 days. So we are trying to be proactive. And so now we're going to go to the slide as it relates to peace. And again, we do have Nicole on here, and I will go over the slides. And if you have any questions in between, she will be able to assist. The microphone is on. So Nicole, if you just want to say hello, just so that we can make sure that it's working. Hello. Okay, marvelous. All is well. So as I said, in 26-27, all schools will have to go to 5 days. And preschool for all, K through pre-K for all. Next, say universal. Right. So then Peace Academy currently has 272 students for GSRP 4 days a week. Again, we would like to transition from 4 days to 5 days, where Peace could follow with Article 14 calendar 12K12. Next slide. The benefits of the 5 day is that families, of course, will not have to get daycare for the Friday, because currently there's no Friday. Families will have the same calendar as we have as it relates to, one school is going to have a day. They're all going to be on the same schedule. It would increase instructional time for pre-K, and then when they get prepared, they will be more prepared for kindergarten. Increase their social emotional learning and support, which we know that's something that is definitely needed. Potential increase in enrollment, and an easier transition from preschool to kindergarten. Next slide. So some of the concerns, as we did, like Trustee Julie indicated, from teachers. They are concerned about PD time. They will continue to follow the Article 14 calendar, where we all will be doing professional development. Time for assessment. As it relates to assessments, they will still have the time for assessments. They'll have common planning time. They'll have the 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, like anyone else in our district. Time for home visits. So we do need to talk with Tanya, but there is, the GSRP is saying that we can count home visits as the same day if the teachers went out to the homes. They're saying that we can count that as a day. So before, we used to do student engagements. And then we'll have time for cleaning, time for planning. Those were some of the concerns. And then as it relates to, there is no change in salaries for teachers. They already are paid to work on Fridays. All money comes from GSRP. The grant is self-sufficient. This year, the amount per student will go up to $10,577, which currently it is $10,100 and some dollars. So it's about $300 to $400 more. And if we get 2 students per each classroom, that would give us about $25,000 per classroom with this increase.
Question.
Yes.
So you mean to tell me that Peace only went 4 days, and they were being paid for 5?
Home visits.
Home visits, PD, things of that.
Who's monitoring?
They usually work Friday.
Yes, they work Friday
It's just no.
They didn't work.
with no student.
Tell me something.
Oh, yeah.
You just do that.
Dr. Johnson, have the logistics for lunch been in this somewhere?
Yes. They eat in the classroom, family style, so that wouldn't change.
The taking to and from, that doesn't create problems for the staff? Is it going to be little effort?
Little effort.
I'm just that just hit me, like, what you gonna do, with the increase of kids.
Just two additional students per class, and they
Oh,
eat
no, I
family
just want the
size.
whole building, period. When we talk about bringing kids over, and you have the high school kids, you have the little ones. I would imagine everyone gets lunch still.
Yes,
So I was
absolutely.
just wondering about the logistics.
It will be.
Have anybody work that out?
Yes, we did talk about that. Next slide. So transportation is going.
Okay, so really quick. Yes. So for 24-25, they'll have the same bell schedule carried over for piece of WHRC. They start at 9:41, they'll dismiss at 4:11. It's up to be 5 days a week. The number of routes that they currently have are 8 gen ed routes and 3 special ed routes. We can't really say if that's going to change until those students are enrolled and tested, and then we can determine from there. But now there's not a big change, except it's 5 minutes away. It'll be the same routing process, except those kids, instead of going over to Cottage Street, is that Cottage?
Yes.
They'll be coming over here to WHRC. Right now, the routes per day per route is $500. It'll be the same, adding that Friday on, with of course an increase happens every year with contracts. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns. No? Okay.
So as it relates to staffing, with the potential merger of ITA and ILA and Peace relocating, our goal is to retain all the staff members that we currently have, but there are a few noticeable changes that we would need to make as far as the kindergarten classroom at ITA, ILA. Because we are only, we would only have the 2 kindergarten classrooms for the upcoming school year. 2 teachers will be displaced, but we would have somewhere else. We have other kindergarten vacancies where they, if they're interested to go. For food service, we have a displacement of 3 food service workers. That's at Peace Academy, but those workers will go to Harrington. Harrington will be opening back up, so we'll be shifting them back to Harrington. And then there'll be a displacement so far of the 3 custodial staff. They're contracted, they are not district employees, so that would just be a matter of notifying the contractor that the services for Peace will not be needed for the upcoming year.
Would the security follow them too?
Security will follow them to Peace, because the time change, they're on a different schedule, so they will
They
follow.
love him over.
He will stay there, and they can't move him on Fridays if we do 5 days a week.
Good,
So.
thank you, all right, I just want to make sure, because they did a whole video on him.
So there are application and inspection processes that have to take place to move Peace Academy over there. We've engaged with IDS, our architectural firm, to review those compliances and regulatory statutes. We're fine to go into that space as is. The only caveat to that is we need to put in carbon monoxide detectors in those classrooms, which will go to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever to get those. About a $900 cost for all of the classrooms over there. The budget, so we spent a lot of time working on the budget for that area. There's design costs, furniture, so taking the opportunity to move the Peace program over there gives us the opportunity to redo the classrooms that are there with new furniture, new supplies, just rebuild basically a turnkey classroom over there for the teachers and students to walk into. We have the cost for packing supplies and relocations, and that's what I referred to earlier, that SACSI is working on that bid process for that. Playground equipment, the requirements of preschool are a little bit different than elementary schools. I mean, shorter kids, shorter equipment needs to go in place. The child care licensing has to be done as well to move over to the new location, and building modifications. There's some areas that will need some partitions in it. We may have to adjust door handles on some doors, so we're projecting the entire package to cost about $788,000.
Where's the funding?
Just one more slide I'll get there for you. The current location that piece of that is 723 Cottage. The intent would be to inventory all of the furniture and equipment that's currently there for repurposing throughout the district, basically putting the building in a hibernation mode doing final cleanup so we don't have to have custodians go over there and clean every day, dropping the utilities down to the minimum for heating, electrical usage, while still keeping safety and security systems like fire, burglar, and cameras in place, and then scheduling regular visits from our security team and operations folks to go over there and inspect the building, make sure everything's working the way it should. Currently today, the boiler system at at Peace Academy is not functionable in its current state. It needs to be either repaired or replaced, depending on what the usage is for that space. That ranged from a repair cost of around $40,000 up to $400,000 for a complete replacement.
Before you move on, question? Yes, sir. If I can. Juliet? No, mine is it pertains to the building itself, because an unoccupied building brings in unoccupied guests.
Correct.
Occupied guests.
So we would keep it on a regular maintenance way.
Here's my thing. I remember when we closed down Sanford and Pike. That's the school over there, Edson.
Purdue,
right?
all Purdue funds.
Eastern. Yeah, it's old school. Where we had to border up the building. Is that in consideration till we determine what we're going to do?
We consider all that, but you don't need to use the alarm one.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying for it to become a deterrent.
Windows and stuff like that.
Boarding up the windows like we did. Is that considered, or until
we consider all? Yeah, we consider all.
Or are we going to wait and see what we're going to do with the building before? Because if it sits for a while.
Oh, I would say, go ahead.
I'm asking that.
Oh, I would like for it to be occupied.
Correct. So then, okay, that's all I need to do.
Engaged in, there are a couple of school districts I know where they have 2 buildings and they entered into a lease with organizations that still provide services, whether you're talking about dance or, I think another activity that kids or United Way, Boys and Girls Club, or something that our students could still participate in, and they would lease the property from us. And then Trustee Bowman have been talking about some housing.
Yeah.
That's another thing that communities are starting to do.
But here's my question to you then. If the decision is to keep it open to have these type of activities, and even what you talked about, is it our responsibility to keep the maintenance up? Which will have us, where we would have to vote to either get a boiler or
Depends on the lease, what the lease agreement is.
With the
you
exception.
can't lease it in the boiler, bad.
With the exception of the boiler, is the building still operable? If we replace that boiler system, is the building still operable?
The building's functionable.
Okay, that's all, I'm good, we don't have to have any more.
Thank you. I usually just open. I want to make sure that we have it up to code to be able to lease it.
Then we have to fix it.
That's all. I hear what you're saying.
So some of the other cost avoidance or savings that we're seeing if we go into hibernation mode at that building is utility cost savings are approximately $100,000 a year. Custodial staff reduction costs will be about $72,000 a year, and then it's just an avoidance of the cook and food service helpers.
Nice.
Right. We're not filling those positions back.
We wouldn't refill those positions.
So how do we pay for all of this? This is some hopefully some. I can give you the basic. I'm not the CFO, so I'll give you the basic numbers. As of April 4th, our current bond fund cash flow balance was $691,373. Our sinking fund balance, which was audited on June 30th, 24, was $7,600,000. We haven't had any expense against that yet, so that's still there. The next property tax intake is anticipated to be $3 million towards the sinking fund. Out of that sinking fund, there's an annual maintenance cost portion of $500,000 that we have a line item for. And we would transition $5 million out of the sinking fund over into the bond funds, so we can pay for projects from that. There's also a $3.13 million line item to replenish the general fund from the bond fund. It was holding some monies that need to be accounted for there. Not accounted for, but just shuffled over. We're anticipating once the Series 3 bonds are sold, those proceeds are $17.6 million. The cost for the piece relocation is, there's a line item for that, $788,555.62. And the rest of our bond projects throughout the district, at Harrington High School, all the other, maybe the middle school, a couple little things going on there. Those are just over $14 million that would be attributed to those projects. Taking that all down to $5.1 million for the bond, once we get those projects done, and $5 million left in the sinking fund.
Quick question, the $25,000 per class from the GSRP for the rooms for peace, where does that money come from, or go to,
That's grant funded, so it would come to the school district.
So is that?
And that's not attributed in here. We tried not to count things that were still questionable. The ESSER funds aren't accounted for in here. Contingency money that's coming back from Harrington is not included in here. Those will all be gravy. We'll take something for that. So potential future projects that we're looking at. So we've got that $5.1 million sitting out there left in bond fund. Our recommendations will be to transfer another $1 million from sinking fund to bond so that we can do the rest of these projects. Relocation of the transportation center from Fell over to the area, the 6 acres over at between high school and middle school. That cost is projected to be about $3.5 million. Taking the natatorium, which we've already invested some monies in, reimagining that as a robotics and event space. I'll show you a concept drawing of that coming up. That's about $1.5 million. We're earmarking $350,000 for the boiler replacement at Frost, based on what the district wants. We just want to have that money earmarked for that if we need it. And then building a facilities pole barn over at the high school for storage. If we move out of the Bell Center, the stuff that's there has to go someplace. Leaving us in the bond with $390,000. We want to spend that money down, although we want to get rid of every penny at the end of the day. So the thought would be to use that for paving projects and striping of lots and parking lots throughout the district. For the rest of that, still maintain $4 million in the sinking fund that can be used for other projects that the board deems necessary. Here's a couple of pictures that we have. So this is existing pool equipment. So when they went to update the pool, pumps were purchased, filters were purchased. All of this stuff resides over at the Bell Center. This had a cost of about $100,000. Our intent would be to resell this to someone that needs it to recoup some of those funds. This is the current pool. In the middle was what the pool looked like. Left side is the new seating area where folks are at. The right side is the new video display board and speakers that are there. The intent would be to infill the pool and make this a multi-purpose space that we can do. We can be very intentional about that. We're going to do robotics. We can put electrical in the floor. We can do a lot of things with that space that was the pool, running conduit and such under that. So here's a couple of different pictures of what it could look like with this is robotics events that are going on there. So you can, again, have very intentional space for our robotics program, which is phenomenal in the district. So really giving them a space to operate and expand within. Fell Center, so this is what we're talking about, moving the Fell Center over to the high school. These are some pictures of the current condition on there. So within the last 6 years, the Fell Center had a new cement floor put in place, had new walls put in place to divide where the transportation department is and where landscaping is at. The picture to the far right is a brand new wall that was put up within the last 6 years that is caving in. You can see the top of the door frame there is actually buckling under the weight from that wall coming down. The middle slide and the one next to that are the front facade of the building. That gap is large enough for me to put my hand in. That's separating from the building, and the some point, if not addressed, will fall off. The floor, again, this is a brand new floor that was put in the last few years, has cracks going through it. Basically, the building is sinking. It's built on top of a peat moss field, about 18 foot down, and it's floating, for lack of a better term on it. We've had it surveyed. The recommendation many years ago was to take this down, not put this initial investment into it that's now cracking. Currently, it's about a $4 to $5 million fix, and we're told it only lasts approximately 5 years. So,
And we still got people in there.
Yes.
I work out of there every day.
Me too.
Safe there.
We live here. We live here.
Heidi, communications.
All right, do you guys want to hear the communications plan, or do you want to hear it another time? Because I've seen everybody going, we gotta rush. And I would rather, which is in the spirit of communications, one of the things I feel very strongly about is we gotta do this right, and we gotta roll it out the right way. So do you want to hear this now, or do you want to talk about it another time so you guys can talk about these details? I'm happy to send you the communications plan. I'm happy to do it however you want to do it.
Yeah, because if they're trying to bring this on the 28th.
I'm happy to talk about it. I have no problem. I'll talk about it all day long.
Just real succinct.
It's no games on tonight, right? Okay.
So, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
So first and foremost, one of the things we have to do in the spirit of all of this is we have to roll it out very specifically. We've all talked very, very clearly tonight about everything that's happened in the past. All of my friends and colleagues have shared all of the things we've been through. Every single time we have a meeting, every single time we have a conversation, we go anywhere, we have got to have something in writing that goes out to the community within 12 hours of the meeting that says in bullet points exactly what the elements are. Because what happens is when we're here in a meeting, we have things, whether it's recorded by Frank, whether it's recorded by someone in the audience, no matter what happens, we're not all mic'd full-time with state-of-the-art equipment. That's not how it works. We all are speaking, we get tired as the evening goes on, our words stumble, they're not quite the way we mean them to sound. We have the news here, or they're not able to be here because they're covering 10 different districts. There's 3 reporters that cover every district in Oakland County at this point. They are pulling quotes from us that they don't mean to take out of context, but they get out of context. So we have to go back to the old school ways of taking something, and by the next morning, it has to be exactly what it is, out to everyone. Only the facts, straight up, just the facts, ma'am. That's what we're doing. Every time. Yes, we can still do our videos. Yes, we can still do our letters, but straight up, everything. We have to be very cognizant of the fact that yes, we have been through layoffs before. Yes, we have been through changes before. Yes, we've moved things before. But this is not the same thing we've all been through before. Yes, we're eating ourselves from the inside. That's absolutely true. But the whole world is, some people feel, is collapsing right now too. We have not been through this before. We have to realize we are in different times, and we have to communicate that differently, and we have to give ourselves some grace, we have to give our community some grace, and we have to realize that this is different, and we have to approach it differently. We're all doing things, figuring this out, but everybody's figuring it out, and people are going to react differently. They're going to be reactionary. They're going to freak out. We have to try to remain calm, try to take a pause, and not be reactionary with them. So we have to take a breath before we respond, and respond clearly, concisely, but also listen. And maybe use that time to actually focus on really getting the feedback we need, really making sure we always are hearing every element of what we need to hear every step of the way, so that we know what we're falling into, know what's going on. Because this, no matter what, there is no perfect plan. We all know that. And this, if this is what we go forward with, we know people are going to be upset. We know some people are going to be ecstatic. We have, when we're going down our path, provided we don't find out that there are zombies under a building that we can't move forward, once we vote on something, we have to stick to it. And it's gonna be rocky at times, but we've got to keep staying the course once we know we're on our course. But we have to
explain why it's still the right course of action every step of the way. We have to continue to keep moving down every direction and keep iterating where we're headed, why we're heading. If we've got deadlines in place, this is our deadline. This is where our deadline is. If that deadline changes, this is why it changed. Keep that steady stream all the way. We still have all of our friends in the news media who are waiting to join us and go down that path with us. They want to be on this journey with us. Whatever our journey is, they're ready to go. We have great friends in the media that will help us in any way they can to tell our story in any aspect that they can. But it's difficult. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. We have one school that we're talking about, Peach, is really excited. We have a program that was here last week that was so excited that they are so as close-knit as can be. They're going to struggle with this change because they're close-knit and they're excited and it's going to be hard for them to make that move, and their students are going to be nervous. It doesn't mean it's not going to be a great thing. They have a lot of great elements of them that they can infiltrate wherever they are, and that's going to be a great thing about unifying, because there are a lot of hodgepodge, like people that have come in from different schools or come in from all over the world. There's people who came to that program that didn't speak English and immersed in there and have done amazingly well. They've got a lot of things that they can share. It's going to be awesome, but it's going to be hard for a little bit. We're going to have to help them. So we have to be prepared for all of that and making that balance. So we'll do it, but we got to all work together. And when we start to see things happening, we just have to constantly communicate. But all the different elements, constant communication. And just keep us posted. Keep our team posted. Anything you hear, bad, good, in between. If we need to get out to a school, we need to get families together. And the point of the separation, no matter what, if we moved, if we were in the same building, different building, if we were banded, if we'd done that original plan, it would have been easier, that immersion. But no matter what, it's going to be a very long journey. But we have to start with a very core organic. We can't force everyone to try to break down all those years of the better than, less than, but we have to start. And it's going to take a long time, but we have to really start to try to not force it, but as organically as we can, it will build. It will totally build, but we have to really strategically work to try to rebuild that together and find opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I hope that the relationship with the district with Oakland Press is much better than it is with me, because I've been black plastered on the front page of Oakland Press, her and I, twice, and they only took information based on what they heard from the recordings of the board meetings.
So
nothing was given out to them about anything. All I saw was my face plastered, pop up on Google, and there I am, and nothing positive was said about, because we're working.
Here's the deal. The Oakland Press, and especially the Oakland Press, more than many other papers, but all papers at this point, they are a skeleton crew. They have I can't give you the exact number, I think they have about 3 reporters total. They cover Macomb Daily, Oakland Press. They are so many places at once now. So they are not able to come and attend our school board. They have to cover everywhere. So because we are a public meeting, what they are able to do is go and cover, they listen to what is said in a meeting. By being in a public meeting and by being here, when I was in college, the reason I wasn't a reporter when I graduated from college, from journalism school, I don't want to cover school board meetings. Ironically, 25 years later, I sit in school board meetings. But we would sit, and we would write down what those trustees said in those meetings. And guess what? Those were the quotes in those meetings. So